Okay, I am back. I'm here to review the book, Ready for Revolution, The Life and Struggles of Stokley Carmichael, written with Stokley Carmichael and Kwame Michael Thelwell. He was a friend of Stokley's. He has a lot of notes, a lot of insight also. It's one thing I liked about this book. He was also a member of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And basically it's autobiography. It's about his life in general. You know, if you want to know about Stokley Carmichael, Google him. He has some great speeches on YouTube where you can really get to know him. He was born in Trinidad. He immigrated to New York City with his parents at the age of 12. Moved to the Bronx. Went to Howard University. After Howard University, he started doing work in what they call the civil rights movement, what I refer to as the human rights struggle, the African American human rights struggle. And one of the reasons I like this book because he brought it there. He brought it out into a world struggle. In 1968, he actually left and moved to Guinea, Africa, and changed his name to Kwame Ture. The first name Kwame coming from Kwame Nkrumah, who was the leader of the Ghanaian independence movement in the country of Ghana, and Sekou Toure, who was the leader of Guinea at the time. And he actually moved there, and he actually passed away there. You know, he traveled the whole world, just speaking on human rights issues. Very great man, you know. Even if you don't want to read this book, I encourage you just to, read more about him, find out what he did. You know, he's somebody that they really don't speak about too much. You know, the only thing they talk about basically was him. He made a speech about Black Power, you know, and that was kind of like his fame to claim. But his fame, his claim to fame, I say claim to fame. But, you know, other than that, he did a lot. I mean, this book is just rich in information. I mean, it's about 600 pages. You know, but these are the type of books I like. I love history, and you know, I didn't see any other reviews for it, so I said I needed to do it. Three things I took from the books, and in all my videos, that's what I'll do. I'll read a book. I'll just do three things that stood out to me in a book, and it's a lot more than this. If somebody really wanted to review this book, it would take hours probably. But I don't have the time nor the will to do that. But the first thing that what I looked about the book is that when he talked about the civil rights movement, he always equated it to a world struggle, a world African, world oppressed people struggle, you know, and that's something that I really, you know, agreed with him on. There's a passage where he came from London and he went back to Washington, D.C. And he said, funny, while I was traveling, everywhere I'd been and everything I'd seen, it had seemed like a lifetime. America had receded, seemed distant, even a little unreal. Yet now that I was back, the trip seemed very short. Indeed, a matter of weeks, a month at most. Being back among the brothers and sisters felt real good. It confirmed my feeling. Our struggle is one. Struggle here, struggle on the continent. The location really didn't matter. I knew I would always go wherever the struggle sent me. You know? And I mean, this was in the 60s. And nowadays, I mean, you got all this instant communication. You know, we got to stop seeing the world as just America or where I live. It's a world struggle. That's why I hate the term civil rights. Because when you hear the word civil rights, you automatically think of one thing. And when you hear the word human rights, you think of something else. Really important. Something else that really touched me. He was very close to Dr. Martin Luther King, and he actually went to his funeral, and just one of the passages I like to read. The funeral was powerful, haunting, sorrowful but strangely beautiful. Very moving. I gotta say, SCLC did that right. Yes, they did. Black folks understand how to do funerals. It's in the culture. Deep in our culture, bro. The ritual, the spectacle, the sorrowful dignity, the sorrow songs, the choir, the soloists, man, they did it for Dr. King. And he was always talking about, black culture, being raised in Trinidad, coming to New York, going to Alabama, Mississippi. He was able to see a lot. He was able to see all the different all the different black cultures and how they were the same. If you ever do traveling, I've never traveled internationally, but I've traveled throughout the country with one of my jobs, and it's true. I mean, you can go anywhere, and it's all that same vein. Maybe one of these days I'll get to go to Africa and see it there, or the Caribbean. But everywhere you go, Memphis, New Orleans, I've been to New York, California, is all the same people. I like how he highlights that in his book. And another thing that really stood out to me, he talked about South Africa. He called it Azania. That was the word he used for it. But his first wife was actually from South Africa, Miriam Makeba, and she was basically banned, from her country for marrying him, and she lost a lot for marrying him. But he predicted what was going to go on in South Africa. He said, but we all understood properly that it was not de Klerk and the racist government that had freed Mandela. It was his people's struggle and sacrifice, that is clear. Many give their lives, but it was the courage of the brothers and sisters, students, workers, a united front of many, many organizations that brought down apartheid. That's very clear. And we also understand properly that without economic justice and the restitution of all African rights, that violent confrontation is not really averted. It is only postponed. And he was right. It was only postponed, because that's what's going on right now. So, anyway, like I say, this is not an easy reading book. This is a book, I read this about 10 years ago when it first came out. Well, it's actually more than that. Wow, I'm getting old. It was about 2003. And I just kind of read through it, but this time I had a lot more time, so I was able to sit down and study it. And man, so much information about that time. I was Googling all kind of different names. SNCC, you had CORE, you had the SCLC. He even talks about the Black Panthers and Robert Williams, Loudoun County, so many different, this man met so many different people. And he even talked about like the struggle for liberation in African countries, in Tanzania, and this guy, he was a part of all that, he influenced a lot. And it's just upset that, we don't hear too much about him as much, but that's what I want to start doing. I want to start pushing people that, you don't hear too much about, Not to say that these are more important, no, but it's different. They all had a hand in where we are today. So, Stokley Carmichael, Ready for Revolution. I'd say pick it up if you want to study it. Might take a little time, but I guarantee you will learn a lot. I've learned a lot, and I will never sell this book. I'm going to give this book to my son when he grows up. So y'all enjoy the rest of y'all weekend, barbecue, and have a good time.